Look, listen, Esteban, I need you to work harder. You're not doing enough. I want you to train like a dog. All right, boss, say no more.
Se metió un... Ah, ¿qué es esto? Ah, pensé que se... Por un momento dije, se metió un perrito, no, fue al medio tiempo.
Esteban, what are you? Said to train a dog. How did you even think I said that? Why would I say? Esteban, pay attention to the game. For God's sake. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. But what's been kicking off in the world this week? Well lads, in American football this week, the Kansas City Chiefs pulled off an unlikely comeback to beat Philadelphia Eagles 38-35 in Super Bowl 57. I can't lie lads, I'm inspired. I might have to become a hand-egg fan. Here's Casemiro in his next match for United after watching what the US get away with in football. It was a dramatic time full of ups and downs, massive shake-ups and box office performances, and that's just what Rihanna's baby experienced. But let's say we do halftime shows in England. Who does the FA Cup final? Because I can't lie, if J1 comes out, I'm gone.
And I'm sick of it.
Now, onto the football, and it's been a blockbuster week for all of us. It kicked off with the news that Real Madrid, Barcelona and Juventus wanted to restart talks of the European Super League with new rules and a format that had more inclusivity, promotion and relegation, and like 80 teams. I don't know, lads, that feels a little bit familiar. So you're telling me Man City are getting kicked out of the Premier League just to join the Super League? Then we've got Grealish turning up for his replay of the 2047 ESL final when Man City get done for FFP charges again. Florentino Perez had no remorse for Arsenal fans after rejecting their application.
1 sec, just need to drink the Arsenal fans' tears.
Is that Troops' tears in a bottle there?
It must be, my mate. No, listen, from start to finish, we absolutely fingered them.
You know what I've just realised? Liverpool are getting locked out of ESL negotiations, bro. I don't think the ESL Chiefs will be happy when we write big European nights on our CV.
Can you tell me who wrote that phrase?
I could have written that.
I think you did write that.
It's possible that I wrote that.
I'd rather you didn't lie about this.
Yeah, I mean, it's highly likely that I wrote that.
What percentage likely?
Yeah, probably 90% likely that I wrote that.
Former Chelsea players Andreas Christensen and Marcos Alonso are going to be targeted by the Blues if they want to get in. Todd's already threatened them if they don't give Chelsea a Super League recommendation.
You don't know where I'm from, dawg.
Meanwhile, Graham Potter's asked Florentino Perez if they can be put on the waiting list for if Sheriff Tiraspol drop out.
So I'm like first reserve then?
Well, we haven't really got any reserves, so sort of no.
Cool. Simple.
They just ain't getting in the club, lads. Chelsea are getting kicked out by the bouncers. PSG are trying to impress ladies with their cash at the bar. RB Leipzig have brought a fake ID to the show. And Tottenham are getting bottled. But in the Premier League, and it was a huge week at the top of the table, as Manchester City beat Arsenal 3-1 at the Emirates to go level on points with the Gunners. Pep and Man City are not leaving that Premier League champions chair anytime soon.
I'm not moving from this seat, I can assure you.
Before the game kicked off though, and the lineups are announced, with Bernardo Silva playing at left back. Boss, where am I playing? Yes. But Kevin De Bruyne gave City the lead before a Bukayo Saka penalty to level the score. Edison pointed for where Bukayo should go, and he slotted it there anyway. All Arsenal players had to do was not fuck this one up. So that's why they came out in the second half on 100% foolishness. Kevin De Bruyne was substituted late on and was targeted by Arsenal fans throwing cups and bottles at him. He made a joke of it on Insta, asking for some beer, and Arsenal fans clearly obliged. Here's Jack Grealish on the scene after finding out that there's actual alcohol in the cups. The guy was getting bottles of Prime thrown at him. There is a year 7 who's run onto the pitch at the Emirates to go and sell that for 100 quid. Meanwhile, this only intensifies the snitching that Mikel Arteta's going to have to do when it comes to Man City's FFP breaches. And Granit Xhaka's preparing for a Piers Morgan interview to reveal all about it. Yet another poor result though for Arsenal. If they're going to win the league, they can't slump into form like this. I didn't think they were going to end up winning the league, but this might be a barometer that they don't quite have what it takes yet. All of this off the back of officiating controversy, as VAR officials forgot to draw the lines for Ivan Toney's equaliser in Arsenal's 1-1 draw against Brentford.
That's his job.
What is going on in there? Goal! Yes! Come on, man. That's what I'm talking about. Lads, did any of you check the goal? That's just, The Brentford goal. It'll work itself out. No, you will work it out. Draw some lines for God's sake. Fraud, not snort them. Leandro Trossard was checking to see if there was any intelligent life forms in the VAR room here for his celebration. How do you forget? It's all you've got to do, lads. Were you out in the smoking area? Here we have Xhaka to the VAR screen at full time, and Ben White had a scathing report on the ref's performance.
You shit.
The PGMOL issued a statement apologising for the human error at the Emirates and also the same thing happening in Brighton's game against Palace. Great, you called them. The title's on the line, but at least you left a voicemail. nil. It's not acceptable, lads. It really isn't. You can't be introducing VAR and still having human error. Ivan Toney was convincing the officials he'd give them a split of his 57-1 ACCA. Meanwhile, Aaron Ramsdale was looking scary indeed.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
There was similar controversy at the London Stadium, where Chelsea dropped yet more points versus West Ham and were denied a late penalty when Tomas Soucek turned into prime Yashin. Chelsea were pretty clear with their thoughts on the incident. Before the game, though, and Thiago Silva got violated by a young mascot, but later on down the tunnel, and he got his revenge. At half-time, and David Moyes headed into the VAR room to inspire confidence into the boys.
Don't do no fucking work though, mate. And you're trying to give us choices. That's what my team's gonna have. You don't have no balls. Testicle fortitude.
And it worked, because late on, and Soucek got away with murder. FIFA tweeted out about the best goalkeeper for this year, and Chelsea replied with Thomas.
You fucking still going on about that?
And Soucek had his own response on West Ham's account.
Yeah, my father was goalkeeper, so I did say for this. No.
Yeah, it's a shithousery award for the Czech midfielder. You know what? Chelsea deserve it anyway. In the build-up, and Mason Mount's not squaring it here. Him and Conor Gallagher are genuinely committing acts of terrorism in the middle. Outside, the Chelsea fan got completely KO'd outside of the stadium, so much so that he had to leave the scene in a wheelchair. Got free parking though, so there is that. Honestly, this is a good point for Chelsea these days, but Todd Boehly is still fuming.
This is a bunch of BS.
Now, we head over to the Champions League here, where we had a titanic clash between PSG and Bayern on Valentine's Day, a time where we treat our significant others in an act of love. For the fucking Champions League. I personally had to get into the Valentine spirit. I had to explain to my girl why expected presses triggered is an underrated defensive metric in the queue for Turtle Bay. Here's all of us outside Maya Jammer's house this year. Men were delighted across the country when the bill came in at the restaurant, and they still had 6 minutes to get home to watch PSG versus Bayern.
Yes! Knew I could do it! Get me out of this shit up!
But to be honest, it wasn't a classic. But it did see Kingsley Coman come back to haunt PSG again, winning 1-0 in the first leg. Kylian Mbappe came on injured, and PSG were trying to protect him from challenges, it's fair to say. Kingsley did at least get the chance to show Kylian Mbappe his Champions League medal. Leo was getting PTSD when Bayern scored their first. To be fair, he was not awake for this one at all. Cristiano Ronaldo was delighted seeing the goal updates come in on Al Jazeera. Sergio Ramos just decided to scrap a cameraman, and it was also a tough one for the officials. Imagine the poor referee when Kylian Mbappe sprints forward, then Alphonso Davies brings it away on the counter. Meanwhile, PSG's Warren Zaire-Emery played in the Champions League here, aged just 16.
At a push 17.
Bit different to what I was doing when I was 16. PSG need a release clause from the Champions League at this point. It's just constant depression for PSG fans. Every year in March, we see Marquinhos cry, but it's a little bit different what we see in March for Neymar every year. Benjamin Pavard got a card on Valentine's Day. It's just a shame it was a red one. In the other Champions League game of the night though, and Tottenham fans might be falling out of love with the game after losing to AC Milan.
To suffer.
Antonio Conte's taken it upon himself to try and injure his own players on purpose now. It's fair to say new signing Spanish right-back Pedro Porro has struggled to adapt off the bat. Tim Sherwood was not impressed.
Don't want to keep picking on the kid, but he needs to be relieved of his duties at the moment. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because it's his debut, but Pedro Porro is so bad. Positioning is absolutely disgusting. Look, on one game, I mean, we know what he's like. I've seen him play for Europe.
Yes, famous Benfica fullback Pedro Porro. But you can't blame him. Pedro's arrived here and he's found out that ketchup's banned, for God's sake.
Nah, fuck this, I'm out of here. Get that fire exit door, I'm off.
With their ongoing beef, and Joao Felix is delighted to see him struggle, but Milan are in a good position through Brahim Diaz, and it'll be interesting to see whether Harry Kane and co can turn it around. Now, over at Liverpool, yeah, fuck it, bring it back. Wait, hang on a second. We won!
That was crazy.
Liverpool came out victorious in a Premier League Merseyside Derby this week with a 2-0 convincing win over Everton. Goals from Mohamed Salah and Cody Gakpo secured the win, who managed to avoid the dreaded 007 record. Now passing the 007 allegations over to Mikhailo Mudryk. The first goal came via a counter. Everton hit the post, and great work from Darwin Núñez set up Mo Salah before Jordan Pickford went to the shot. What was he doing running over to Roji as the ball came in? To be fair, he had no help. The rest of the Everton squad were distracted as Mo made it 1-0. Connor Cody was looking a bit different today. Meanwhile, Sean Dyche was having to deal with several complaints from the team. Oh man, Sean, we're doing too much running. How about I run you out of here? Yeah? I hate it too. Man up. This drill is just too tough. Tough shit. I'm Ginger. How do you think I feel? It kicked off at the end though with tensions flaring. Connor Cody made his Valentine's thoughts pretty clear. Meanwhile, Darwin Núñez was reminding Everton players of the score. Hey lads, the Uruguayan might be back in form, you know.
Darwin Núñez, he came from Benfica
United played Leeds twice this week in the Premier League. The first was a 2-2 and the second was a 2-0 win for the Red Devils. Willian Onto scored early in the draw. United were full of optimism till his first minute goal. Marcus Rashford scored in both, and there's now the stat that he scored 29% of his goals with his head since he started pointing at his head. It was a good result for Leeds after the Jesse Marsch sacking. Can you imagine? United had been hit with the no manager bounce here. Into the second meeting, and David De Gea was concerned with the back line ahead of him.
You see Shaw, Maguire, Fred, and these boys, you're going, my job depends on these guys. Then you're in trouble.
But in the end, he got the last laugh in front of the Leeds faithful. Luke Shaw took the piss in the canteen celebrating the victory, and one of the chefs had to call him out on it.
How much egg you fry? 6 bomber ass clot, pussy bomber blood clot egg.
It's been a disastrous week for Tottenham, who shipped 4 to Leicester in a shambolic collapse.
Hey, wait. What do we think of Tottenham? What do we think of shit? Thank you!
Bentancur, one of the club's shining lights at the moment, is now out for 6 months with an ACL injury. Antonio Conte stressed seeing this. They couldn't even win with Castagna trying to help. One Leicester fan decided to remind Tottenham about their trophy cabinet. Meanwhile, Harry Kane was a little bit in awe seeing new signing Harry Souttar's star.
Look at the size of that fucker.
Todd Bowley's in trouble again after liking a tweet saying Mark Cucurella was not good enough for the club. Chelsea will be releasing a statement if Mark continues his terrible form. Here we have Todd trying to sell him back to Brighton's under-18s.
You are getting unbelievable value at £8.33 or £9.99 a month.
Meanwhile, the taxi driver taking him back to the south coast is a little bit confused.
Are you a bloke?
Southampton boss Nathan Jones has been sacked. It's fair to say Saints fans saw it coming. There was an interesting interview that came from him this week, talking about how he came out of his comfort zone to leave his native Wales.
I enjoy a challenge. I want to be the best version. I could have stayed in a mining community and be a PE teacher and had a nice life, married a nice Welsh girl and all those things. Beautiful. But I want to test myself on every little, and that's nothing against Welsh girls, by the way. And I knew I wasn't brilliant as a player, but I was the fittest human being in history. And I thought, I'm going to cling on to this career and get as high as I can. Now I'm hurting, like anyone else, like any other Southampton fan. And I'm not saying I'm a bigger Southampton fan than...
Fair to say he'll be a little bit sheepish when he arrives back there. Elsewhere, and as the revelation that Micah Richards spends £600 on trims a week. £600? I still couldn't save my trim. Pep Guardiola decided to start talking about random footballing events in an interview this week.
You know, responsible for Steven Gerrard's livery. You know, in that situation in Anfield, I didn't want it for respect for Steven Gerrard, but...
No one's safe from the Steven Gerrard slip. It's bad enough at Liverpool already. Thiago's now out injured. Liverpool's medical staff are already perplexed seeing another one enter the centre, knowing they have no clue how to treat him. At United's under-18s, and how about this from Eli Harrison for some serious composure? Previously on FTW. Honestly, the guy, he's done. If a man can't be scoring 4 in a game in the Saudi Arabian League, then... Alright, so look, now Cristiano Ronaldo grabbed 4 in one match over in Saudi Arabia with an electric display. Cristiano was watching the last episode and took it personally, but it was, to be fair, versus our part-time goalkeeper, part-time estate agent. He had to explain why he conceded so many at his 9 to 5 the next day.
I promise, like, and even it's been a week.
Meanwhile, in Saudi Arabian tradition, apparently the referee signed a match ball for his hat-trick. Imagine they did that in England, they'd miss the ball. In French news, PSG are shit. They were knocked out of the Coupe de France by Marseille. The lack of urgency from Paris Saint-Germain in the 95th minute was telling. Nah, I'm sorry, this is not legal. Match fixed. And neither was this handball on the Marseille goal line. Fixed. And that was followed by a loss to Monaco in the league as well. Christophe Gaultier wasn't really providing tactical nous down on the touchline. Meanwhile, Presnel Kimpembe grabbed a megaphone to apologise to PSG fans and was trying to increase spirits. There's the news that Neymar's neighbours are apparently fed up with the loudness of the Brazilian winger. Of course, he's filming TikToks at 5 AM for God's sake, amongst other things when his sister's around. I mean, he must be diving around his room, I guess. At OGC Nice, and officials are disgusted after a XXX film was recorded at a stadium. I'm sorry, how does this even happen? I already know what the fixture was. It has to be this one. The stadium announcer's going to be taken a little bit off guard here. Substitution for Nice. And what? Hey, hang on, who's playing that? Well, down in the second division and Le Havre, this defender has come up with a new way to tackle his opponent. In Spain, and Real Madrid won the Club World Cup with a 5-3 thriller of a final against Al Hilal. There was an undercover Barcelona agent in the crowd for this one, and in the celebrations, players were getting a little bit up close and personal with Antonio Rudiger. He's not having it. He is running after them in the aftermath. There's the news that Barcelona are selling seats at the stadium to try and raise funds for the club. I mean, look, Manchester City can't, so if they can, it's an achievement. Listen, just let them cook in it. I mean, it might work. You might see Barcelona fans with alternate dining rooms. They'd maybe have a little bit more money if they hadn't been paying a referee's company between the years of 2016 and 2018. Apparently, a value of over €1.5 million was paid into an account belonging to a referee, and none of the money was invoiced for. Extremely shady behavior. Here's the VAR during that era. Meanwhile, Barcelona had Ronaldinho's son on trial this week, and apparently he hid his identity in order to remove any bias. And let's not talk to Ronaldinho about IDs, please. And at Real Sociedad, Alexander Sorloth won a fish for being player of the month at the club. In Germany, Ndeo Upamecano is trying to up his game by hiring an opera singer to help him out. Apparently he struggles with communication, and it's helped him in regards to his centre-back partner. Ndeo, play it to me. At St. Pauli, and what better way to try and diffuse a fiery situation than to lip somebody? And in Italy, at Venezia, how about this for a celebration? Grabbing yourself a beer. Why not? Now though, time for your goals of the week. You know the score, they're bangers. First of all, over in Brazil, and Hulk is known for his incredible shot power. Well, he's proven it yet again with this rocket of a free kick. Staying in Brazil and at Fluminense, we've got this incredible long-range goal from the halfway line from German Cano. And finally, I don't think I've ever seen a goal like this. We don't usually have strikes from training in goals of the week, but Nicolas Otamendi, take a bow, son. Now, Celtic played against St Mirren this week, and the linesman during this one was Douglas Ross, who doubles as a member of Scottish Parliament. It's crazy, and he's asking for problems, really. Well, it turns out Celtic fans don't particularly like him that much, and unfurled this banner whilst he was running the touchline. There were ridiculous scenes on the other side of the Old Firm, where after a drop ball, Malik Tillman ran through on goal against Partick Thistle and decided to slot the ball home. Partick's players were not too pleased about it, and in the end, Rangers coaching staff had to step in and order his side to give Partick a goal back. And over in Argentina, one Estudiantes fan is never going to have trouble getting into the ground ever again because he's tattooed a ticket QR code onto his arm. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty.
No, tú ahí, deténla. Agárrala así.
And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Now, over in India, and we don't just see good football techers in football, no, we've got some sensational skill coming in the world of cricket. Sometimes you gotta think outside of the box when a ball's getting floated into the area.
Ponta.
I mean, really, the cheek of it all. Danish forward Martyn Braithwaite showed off the worst pizza ever created. There was a high-pressure moment between Flamengo and Al Hilal in the Club World Cup last week. Not a great time for the electricity to go out. In Colombia, and in between Tolima and Miscellaneous, the game's about to kick off. Daniel Catano, now of Tolima, used to play for his opponent. One fan who hasn't forgiven him for leaving ran onto the pitch and struck the Colombian, only to then receive a taste of his own medicine in return. Catano was then sent off, Tolima's captain refused to play the game, and it was in the end cancelled. Meanwhile, over in Uruguay, in a game in their domestic campaign, one of the VAR screens stopped working for a full 5 minutes, leading to a referee being very confused indeed. Now, closer to home, and Jared Branthwaite of Everton is currently out on loan to PSV. He was interviewed by a Dutch reporter who basically couldn't understand why he'd played in a shithole like Carlisle.
Carlisle United. Then I phoned my mom. I said, Mom, I'm there. She said, where? I'm at the bloody end of the world. Is that the bloody end of the world, Carlisle?
Yeah, it's
a punishment to play there, eh? You play there?
Yeah, for me, no. It's my hometown, so for me it was good there.
It's your hometown?
Yeah, my home. Yeah.
Sorry about it.
No punishment for me.
Down in the Championship, and Burnley are so comfortable in that division that their goalkeeper's keeper's average position was outside of the box. Meanwhile, after Stafford's goalkeeper had sarcastically dived for a shot going wide against Guiseley, when Stafford went 2-0 down, a Guiseley player got his revenge by sarcastically diving in front of him. It's a shithousery award for the man. Over in Mexico, and the guy in charge of pyrotechnics has got to calm down just a little bit here. There's crazy scenes in the Netherlands where Feyenoord managed to draw 4-4 with NEC in the cup, having had 50 shots on goal and then winning on penalties. In Finland and at Helsinki's under-19s, we've got a defensive side here thinking that the ball's gone out of play, only for one fast-thinking Finnish youngster to see that it actually wasn't a goal kick, take the ball off the keeper and tap it into the empty net. Now that it's time for the moment you've all been waiting for, because over in Romania, we have seen some ridiculous fouls and some ridiculous penalties given in this series, but I don't think any as bad as this one, where Universitatea Craiova managed to give away a penalty via VAR after the goalkeeper, having claimed the ball, tripped over a forward for no reason whatsoever. In Brazil now, and imagine, the scoreline is level, a ball gets floated into the box, it's an easy claim for the goalkeeper to ensure there's no last-minute heroic. Over in Honduras, and their under-19 side have come up with a unique way to take a free kick, having taken inspiration from Notts County's women's side. One Japanese goalkeeper must have had a fallout with his defender because he's absolutely launched the ball at his ankles and given away a goal here. At Palmeiras, and some of their fans weren't able to make it into the stadium, so they decided to watch the game on a house roof instead. We've all seen some of the greatest footballers on planet Earth do it on the biggest occasions, but can they do it on a windy night in Iceland? Bowers and Pitsy in the lower reaches of English football had a 3-0 lead, but conceded 4 goals in 8 minutes to end up losing their most recent fixture. Their admin was not holding back, saying that they have quite literally fucked it. In Indonesia now, what a nation. I'm not sure these drums are the usual that ultras take to stadiums, but I guess they'll do the job. I'm convinced everyone in Brazil is an incredible baller, and this latest video from the nation is even more evidence as to why. And over in Austria, goalkeeper René Sveta has retired from football. He was only 32, playing for Hartberg, and cited falling out of love with the game as the reason, but maybe it's the fact that his club sponsor translates to sperm booster and he has to wear that on his shirt every weekend. Now that it's time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now, this is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And this clip sums it up perfectly. The dirty, gritty reality of tackles in Sunday League, followed by one piece of absolute magic. On to the weird stuff though now. Over in Moldova, and the Moldovan government have banned Partizan Belgrade supporters travelling to the nation because they received apparent intelligence that a segment of the club supporters were going to try and overthrow the Moldovan government and replace it with a pro-Russian one.
Quiet night in at the library. Not.
It's meant that no one is allowed to travel from Serbia to Moldova, apparently. I find it wild, man. Hooligans can't even overthrow their own club, let alone an entire country. In Kenya, and 14 players as well as 2 coaches have been banned for match-fixing allegations in the National League. 6 players from Zoo Keriko FC are included, a team that was found guilty of match-fixing in 2021 and expelled from the Kenyan Premier League. Come on, lads, just learn your lesson, for God's sake. There's the news that South Africa are going to host the first Grannies International Football Tournament. It's never been done, and I'm now beginning to ask myself why. Maybe it's because 90% of them will put out a pelvis by full time, but we move. But finally, there's the heartwarming and uplifting story of Jakub Jankto, the Czech Republic international who has become the first fully fledged active international football player to come out as gay. He did this via Twitter and a video explainer. It's great for the sport. It encourages others like him, hopefully, to want to speak out and be comfortable with their identity moving forward. And it's just nice to see someone be who they truly are in the world of sport. Some more life to Jakub, I'm sure it'll be extremely helpful. That though is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at @theofficialfng on Twitter and on Insta. But it's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.